All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Talkin Investing. You're here with Tom and you're here with George, and we can see him this time. Oh, you put. That sounds like something I would do. That's my move. Oh, and we got a close one here. Yeah, vote. 31. Oh my man, I'll tell you what, if you look on YouTube and look at the videos, it's like 99% to 1% that, you know, I've seen relentless videos that this thing is a spaceship and it's done this and it's done. They cannot hear you? Hold on. Let me see if. Hold on. That's. What is going on? I gotta switch this. How about now? I gotta get tech support. I'll be right back. All right, just 30 seconds, everyone, because we had a huge day with the Bitcoin miners. This was the craziest Bitcoin miner week in a long time. So we got a lot to talk about. Let me get tech support so you guys can hear George. I'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, guys? Tech support here. Back to diagnose and fixed it, and I'm the best. And goodbye.
Did you fix it? All right, let's see if that claim is true. Can they hear George? No. What's the story? Oh, brother. I still don't see your meter moving. Are you sure everybody can hear you? It says we cannot. No. Yeah. Yeah. And then especially after bragging, I'll be right back. One more pause.
All right, tech support failed. Sorry, guys. I'm back. I say something?
Say something.
Something has been said.
Okay.
Something
All right.
has been said.
Sometimes it takes 2 times, guys. Sorry about that.
Now are we good, guys? Now I don't even know if I can repeat what I said. It's probably great that you guys couldn't hear it.
All right. I'd like to
Yes,
promise the
this is
technical
awkward.
difficulty portion of our program is over, but you never know on Talking Investing.
So I said to Tom, I asked him if he heard the whole reason behind 31 Atlas regarding CERN, and he said he did not know, so I wasn't going to scare him.
I'm
And
not
it's
afraid.
crazy. Oh, it's a doozy. It's a doozy.
I think it's fake news.
I would like to think it's fake news. I'm beginning to worry though. So I got a 6-pack of beer after this. I'm going into the woods.
like do it. Well, if whatever it is, I don't think going in the woods is going to do any good.
It sounded good. So we got a big day in the Bitcoin miners, Tom?
We had a big day in the Bitcoin miners. If I could ask everybody to please hit the like and subscribe button, or just hit the like button. You can subscribe if you want to, but it helps the stream out in real time. And after all those technical difficulties, we need all the help we can get. So thank you very much.
My volume is controlled by Tom. There's nothing I can do with my volume.
Everything, right. Everything was set up on George's end correctly. I had one of the settings wrong, which is no surprise. You know, you'd think I'd have this down by now, but I still don't. So, my apologies.
Let's go, Tom. I'm excited.
Let's go. Let's go. We had a monster green day. But this was the most volatile week for Bitcoin miners in years. So we had vicious red days, like catastrophic back-to-back red days. Then we had a nice green day. Now we had, there's a lot of these are up double digits today, high double digits. Hive is up 17.77% today. HUT is up 17% today. CIFR's up 19.73% today. I mean, that's one day. IREN, 12.6%. I mean, these things have been all over the place. We are going to look at some specific charts later because this week was bananas. So if you were looking at your account on a daily basis, you were probably going just about as crazy as I was. So, but I try to remain calm and look at it as opportunities when they present themselves. So let's see who was buying this week. Let's start a poll.
I got one going. I was saying, will the gain stay on AI HPC stocks next week? Yes or no?
Roger.
Did you like how I changed it, Tom?
We're not even going to mention Bitcoin anymore.
Well, what's the point? Seems to do better when you don't.
That's true. The Bitcoin miners aren't Bitcoin miners anymore, even though that's the main thing they do. This news today was strictly, let me get right to first of all, we got some data today. So we're going to get to CPI because it's the only data we're going to get all month. They opened the office of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics to get one data point out for a specific reason, and you're not going to get any more. So this is all the Fed's going to get. No jobs, no nothing. None of the other inflation numbers, just CPI, which we got and we'll talk about because that moved markets today. The market hit a new all-time high today. So we sit with Bitcoin off of its all-time high. Gold had a really rough couple of days this week. It's off of its all-time high, but the equity markets are at all-time highs, and they're just I don't see anything getting in the way of this thing. Keep running. That's my preliminary assessment. But I want to show you a specific article because there was a very big deal. AI miners surge. This is today. AI miners surge pre-market, and then obviously they surged all day during the market and, all the way to the close on record $38 billion Oracle data center deal. So this deal, although it didn't have anything to do with the Bitcoin miners, this reinvigorated the AI bubble because, and you're going to get this is the way a bubble works. So I would say the most important thing is this was the most volatile week with the Bitcoin miners in many years. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that ahead. I think the net result is we're nowhere near the top of the bubble, but this is how these bubbles go. Big burst up, crash, bigger burst up, crash, etc. And eventually it's the end. And you got to know, at some point you got to be taking profits either along the way or decide when to get out, or you're going to be stuck holding the bags. So, and each one of these companies is different. And remember, these aren't just AI, but they're going to hype. Their values still are not hyped, in my opinion. And when I look at their market caps, this does not represent a full-blown, anywhere near a full-blown bubble. So, these are all still, all of these put together, I think, are still worth less than CoreWeave. So that's, if that puts it in perspective. And so CoreWeave's a straight high-performance computing AI play. The revenue of all these put together is 5 or 10 times CoreWeave's, but the market cap is either the same or less. So my point is, I think there's a lot of room to run, but this is going to be like a roller coaster. Lock in, and if you don't like volatility, you have come to the wrong place, because every day this week was like, oh, this is the greatest day ever. Oh, this is the worst day ever. The end is, end is near. Okay, and it's the greatest day ever. But the reality is, I ended up back just a little bit short of where I started this week. So I didn't get back to zero from where I was last Friday. So my net was down a little bit this week. And it depends what stocks you're in. You might have been up a little. Most people were up. Like I said, the overall market's at a new all-time high. So while Bitcoin sits just under 111,000. So it wasn't, you can see this gold line right here is where Bitcoin was when the U.S. equity markets closed yesterday, 110,247. So it's only up $500. It was up, if you look at the BlackRock ETF, IBIT, it was up 0.4%. So these double-digit moves came off of a 0.4% move on Bitcoin. But again, like George said, and like the poll reflects, not even referring to these as Bitcoin mining stocks, because the reality is right now, and until further notice, and that further notice is going to be when Bitcoin does its thing. But until then, these are AI stocks. And it's why you'll see Marathon did not participate today, up 1.6%. I'm going to talk more about Marathon later. But they have not embraced AI in the way that the other companies have. And the second last one, the most recent one to capitulate was CleanSpark. And they put a press release out this week, and they're all in, and their stock is way up. So
is this normal? Is this like normal for an industry to go up this much and down this much and up this much? I see CIFR is up 19%. Is that normal?
These wild swings are right now, all the stocks we look at, and by technical definition, this isn't true anymore, but they're small cap, high growth stocks. They are risk on stocks, and they're a part of a group that's in a bubble. So you do get, if you go look at all the rare earth material stocks, they're doing the same type of thing. I have a list of rare earth material stocks. They were up 50% on Wednesday and then crashed on Thursday. It was just all this. They look just like this. So, by small, the definition of small cap stock has kind of changed, especially when things accelerate inside of a, especially when things accelerate inside of a bubble. You're going to get market caps that can get much higher than what would traditionally be defined as a small cap stock. And remember, most of these by the middle of crypto winter or the end of crypto winter were micro cap or nano cap stocks. So they're going to, they're ultimately from their bottoms. A lot of these have 10x, 20x, 30x, and I don't think we're done. And with all that, a lot of them still aren't back to where they were in the last 4-year cycle. But today certainly helped. You guys could smash, if you just got here or if you haven't done it yet, if you could hit the like button, it does help the stream out in real time a lot. So we appreciate that, because we do have a lot to talk about. So let's get my screen straight here. Okay, let's get going. I'm going to put a new poll up. Will the gains stay on the AI high performance stocks, i.e., aka the Bitcoin mining stocks, next week? So 70, almost 3/4 of you are confident we're going to keep these gains, and I assume you feel like we're going to move up from there. So 1/4, 26% said no, we're not keeping these gains. I think there's going to be a day or two where it doesn't look good, but I think next week we're back on track. Almost every single week for the last 2.5 to 3 months, the Bitcoin miners have been in the green. So some of them were in the red this week. We'll look at the week to date. We're going to look at the month of October. October was hyped up, but it's not living up to the hype. Bitcoin's actually down so far on the month, and this month's getting close to over. So it's very close to zero. It could end up positive for the month. I still think the fourth quarter is going to be good stuff, but it sure wasn't October for Bitcoin. Having said that, October was yet another great month. And again, it's not over if everything crashes next week, but another great month for the Bitcoin miners. So we'll look at both of those. Get rid of that. Typing. All right. New poll. Did you buy Bitcoin related stuff this week? Miners, ETF, Bitcoin itself, the treasury companies, Microstrategy, etc. Were we buyers this week or sitting on the sideline? And I will tell you, I was a very modest, I'll answer for myself. I was a very modest buyer. So I did not go crazy on this dip at all. And, you know, it's getting awfully tempting to become a swing trader because these moves are ridiculous. So that's going to be a thought process I'm going to have to go through over the weekend, whether I want to get a lot more involved in maybe some options and that kind of stuff to trade on this volatility, because I don't think it's going away, but I do think we're going up over time. I think George is on a call right now, and that's why
I'm off now.
Oh, you're good.
I'm going to tell you, Tom, I think it's going to be exactly like this next week too, by the way. I think it's going to be like this for almost most of the month of November.
Oh, you think this is going to carry into November, this volatility, and work all the way through November?
I mean, if they're making money at it, why not?
There's no way you can say you'd be shocked. I mean, this is what, if you guys remember 4 years ago, it was a long time ago now, but this was every week for months. And by the way, as good as this week is with things up 19%, 17%, 12%, this is modest. We had days that doubled this or tripled this, right? We had stocks that were up 60% in a day. So, and I'm not saying that those days might be ahead again, for all I know. But by the flip side, for every one of those types of days, you get a day where, you know, you're red in a horrifying way. And it's horrifying. And if you have no counterbalance or insurance type stuff on your portfolio and you're just dollar cost averaging, then those days you feel like you got poor, but you didn't, you don't make any money until you actually sell something or lose any money.
I'm putting which AI HPC has the most room to run.
Aha.
And I'm not going to put in Marathon, by the way.
Because they are not properly participating.
No, they are not. But I picked 4 good ones. Let's see what you guys think.
Got IREN, Hive, Riot, or CleanSpark. Those 4 are all in. Obviously, there's more. We might have to do a round robin, depending on what goes on, to see who wins the winner there. Marathon. I bought more Marathon this week. And
dude, I hate Marathon. And hate's a rough word.
But it's the perfect. I'm glad that is your response.
Only one I've lost money on. Every other mother hucker I've made money on, but not that stupid freaking
welcome to Talkin
Marathon.
Investing.
When everybody's where you are and they're not there yet, which is I hate Marathon, and they're clearly, they're just lagging all the other Bitcoin miners. The rest of the Bitcoin miners had
welcome to Talkin Investing.
really big days. Let me just get to a couple of these member chats and then we'll get back to it. Sour Melon Gaming, thank you for being a longtime member. Tom, ultimately, these stocks are going a lot higher than you think, and they're probably going to be worth holding longer. We've only just begun IREN to 100, and to Sour Melon's credit, he's been saying IREN to 100 back when that sounded like crazy talk, and it doesn't sound so crazy anymore. IREN was in the 70s. Last week, it's at 62.90. It was at $6, 15 weeks ago. So this is what happens to these stocks. They can have vicious runs. I think you're right, Sour Melon Gaming, which is why I want to, if I do play the volatility, it's going to be through options. I'm not selling I don't think we're near the point where it's time to sell and call the bull market over and be done. But if the AI bubble gets to a point where things have gotten insane, we have to take a look at that. IREN to 100 makes sense. IREN to 300, I'm probably out by then, right? That and that kind of stuff can happen. Gambit
I had
beer.
to sell stock this week because I had to pay bills, guys. So I got screwed, blued, and tattooed.
Yeah, that's no fun. See, well, I want to get to Gambit beer. Member for 37 months. Did you change your name?
It's Barry.
Oh, okay. Hut has the most room to run. They are just waiting on a big contract. So this is a critical point because most of these companies, a couple of these companies have gotten some really nice contracts. And, they made a big run on that day or that week, but most of the contracts are yet to come. So I think we have, if you mix the 2 points together that, Sour Melon Gaming thinking that these have a long way to run, I think we have a couple of years worth of big announcements ahead of us from these companies where, boom, this big contract came in, that big contract came in, and they are all out there. I can tell you, they are looking to scale. They're looking for gigawatt type facilities to build out, right? These companies used to buy 20 megawatts and it was a press release. No, they're looking to do 100 times that. So, and it's all going to be for, not to say that they won't get back to Bitcoin mining, but I think we've found a magic number. One company's gone by that magic number, but I believe all these companies are going to get to 50 exahash and take a break until right before the next halving. So I think we're going to have, the Bitcoin mining portion of this business stay kind of stable for at least a year. And, some of them have already admitted that. We know TeraWolf is just out of Bitcoin mining. They have 12 exahash, I think, still, but they have no desire to grow anymore. Bitfarms is at 17 point something exahash. They're not going to grow anymore. Core Scientific is dwindling. Their fleet's half of what it was, and they're not going to grow anymore. They just have to take machines offline. And we're going to talk about Core Scientific today because something very interesting is going on there as well. So we'll get to that. But I think with these factors put together, right, those are all those big contracts, one at a time. And you can see, we just had Oracle get a big deal today that had nothing to do with any of these companies, and they still went through the roof. So anything that's company specific is going to cause that company to run up. Anything that's high performance computing in general, big giant, the big Oracle's $500 billion, might be $1 trillion company by now. So, you've got the big boys that are going to make monster announcements, and everything's going to run up on those days too. And then at some point, I do still think, and we'll see what you guys think, I don't think the Bitcoin bull market is anywhere near over. So at some higher numbers, at 150, 175, maybe 200, and I'll tell you, it was only 2 or 3 weeks ago that the vast majority of people in the poll thought we would at least get to 200,000 in this bull market. I'm guessing we're not quite as optimistic as that, but we will do that poll later.
I have not lost faith.
Me neither. I think the run is out there. This is an elongated cycle. All the macroeconomics around this halving are very different than any previous cycle. I don't know I'm calling him a kid, but he's a grown man, was talking to Anthony Pompliano for an hour, and he used to work at Bitwise. Now he has his own firm. And he was basically talking about, listen, there's no more, the 4-year cycle's over. It's done. And they both talked about that, and they both were in agreement. Like, for instance, we just had a rate cut, and we're just about to get another one. We're just starting quantitative easing.
Did you hear that one? Somebody said something very interesting. I don't want to give them credit who said it, but probably by next August, we will be at 0% interest.
I wouldn't be shocked. That's what we had to do last time to get ourselves out of the mess we got ourselves into. We went to 0 and stayed at 0 for a long time. So, yeah, don't be surprised if there's more rate cuts than we think coming. I'll just take a quick look at this, and then we'll look at CPI. But if you look at the Fed Watch tool, let me refresh. It's still sitting at, so this is the meeting we're about to have, October 29th, next week. We got a 97% chance of a rate cut. But more interesting than that to me is the fact that if you go to the December meeting, there's only 3% here. So that means 97% think we're going to have either a 25 or 50 basis point cut again. So this cumulatively right here is 2 rate cuts. This is 3 if we measure a rate cut as 25 basis points. So, there's now a little percentage of this going in, but basically there's a 97% chance of getting 2 rate cuts in a row at the next 2 meetings. And, I feel like unless something totally off the map happens, I feel like this is a lock And I heard some members of the Fed try and walk this back and say, oh, we're concerned about this and we're concerned about that. But they need to be concerned about jobs. The CPI number came out today. Let's go through that because, this is a function of that. The Fed has exactly one data point this month because the Bureau of Labor and Statistics is closed. Now, in order for people to get their Social Security, what people get paid is based on the CPI. And that rate's going to change on November 1st. So they opened it up just enough to calculate CPI so that people could keep getting their Social Security, and then they send everybody home again. So there is no more data. This is now the second longest government shutdown in history. And I think, you can never say never, but I'm fairly certain this will be the longest, and it might not even be close.
Yeah, I think it's going past the new year, by the way.
Yeah, which is a shame. It's a shame. It's a disgrace, in my opinion. But
it is what it is.
But it is what it is.
Do me a favor and vote, because I'm going to end this poll here any minute. But what a runaway for CleanSpark.
Wow.
I'll put Bitfarms. I'll put the other four up after this.
Looks like so far CleanSpark's first and Hive is second on this one. But runaway for CleanSpark.
Yeah. So CPI, how'd it come in?
So let's take a look at CPI. Okay, this is from CNBC, and then inflation hits 3.0 in September. So this came out. The first thing is this came out. It was supposed to come out last Thursday. It came out today, 8 days late, because the government's shut down. But again, you'll see the Bureau of Labor and Statistics released the data specifically because the Social Security Administration uses it as a benchmark for cost of living adjustments in benefits checks. Otherwise, the federal government has suspended all data compilation during the shutdown. So it doesn't say in here that it's November 1st, but they needed this number by November 1st. And they're not giving us any more numbers. So this is what the Fed has to deal with, period. But this beat expectations. Expectations was that it was going to be 3.1. It came in at 3.0. So the consumer price index showed 0.3 increase on the month, putting the annual inflation rate at 3%, both lower than expected.
Hey, Gordy, I want
So-
to tell you, it's been out there for a good while. It's got a pretty good that tank.
Nice. Okay, I'll go get it. Thank you.
This is
Thank you.
both lower than expected. This is why the market's at a new all-time high today. So, this is the good news that people were hoping for. And there's still a bunch of people saying, well, tariffs are going to destroy this. But, I mean, come on. That was April. We're almost to November. At some point, we have to admit that tariffs did not destroy us. We're at 3.0, which is below the 50-year historical average for CPI. So I know the Fed always talks about its target of 2.0, and that's great in an ideal scenario. And sometimes we do reach that, but it's not the norm. Excluding food and energy, core CPI showed a 0.2 monthly gain and an annual rate at 3% less than forecast. So core was even better. So everything was a beat. This was all good news, and the market acted accordingly. Now, Bitcoin didn't get a jump on this, but the market did, and the Bitcoin miners went crazy. But I think this was important. If this was a big miss, I think it would have canceled out the high performance computing news that came out today, and we could have seen a very different day. But this being our only data point, it came out. It was pretty much what we were hoping. So U.S. CPI rose softer than expected, 0.03 in September. Bitcoin adds to gains, but again, we looked, it was almost nothing. The better than hoped inflation data cements markets' anticipation that the Fed is on track for rate cuts at its 2 as its final 2 meetings of the year, which is what we just looked at. 97% chance baked in that they're going to do a rate cut and at this meeting and the one in December. So now I will tell you, strangely, that is down from 100% a week ago. So not sure why it's ticked down a little to 97, but for all intents and purposes, it's the market would be shocked if that's not the result. So keep your eye on, we got 2 dates coming up. October 29th is next week. If we don't get that rate cut next week, you can expect a market crash. Now, the one on December 10th, there's a long time between now and then. So we need to see what other information arises between now and then. But we're set for another one on December 10th. But in particular, next week, if they don't cut rates next week, it is going to get very ugly. And Gambit
I'm going
Beer
to show you something I bought.
Oh, go ahead, George.
Hopefully people get a kick out of this.
Wait for it.
It's going to take a second, Tom.
Oh, all right. I'll keep in that case, I'll keep talking. So that's CPI, and that's our data for the month because that's all we're getting. I want to jump to Core Scientific for a minute because CoreWeave did a buyout for Core Scientific. They made an offer. The vote is next week. This stock has actually had some arbitrage in it. It's priced at a discount to the price that CoreWeave agreed to sell it for. But what's weird is the opposite is happening. So first this came out because a bunch of big chunks of investors, advocate investors, came out and said, we're going to vote no on this. We don't like this thing. And it's pretty much, I think, been assumed by the market that this was going to happen. And the reason is they're tied at the hip. Core Scientific's number one customer is CoreWeave. And not by a little bit. It's the vast majority of their business. So, not quite sure what happens if they reject this offer. But in any instance, CoreWeave's CEO stands firm. The $9 billion Core Scientific offer, that's it. That's the final offer. That's their last and best offer. And he says, the deal would be nice to have, but they don't need it. So, if they vote no, well, then so be it. So here's what happened a couple of days ago. Bitcoin miner Core Scientific upgraded to buy as high-performance computing momentum builds. And this from B. Riley. So what's interesting, the bank also reaffirmed TeraWulf as its top pick in the sector because TeraWulf's all in. They just borrowed $3.2 billion to grow out their high-performance computing infrastructure. So they are clearly all in, right? Tied for the most, if not the most. But Core Scientific is all in on this as well, right? They've abandoned their Bitcoin mining fleet. They're just letting it run its way into obsolescence. They mine less Bitcoin every single month for a year in a row. B. Riley upgrades Core Scientific to a buy from neutral, raising its price target to 30. What's interesting about this 30? The offer is under $21. So if you think about it, B. Riley is pricing in that they're going to say no to this offer. The firm kept TeraWulf as its top pick, boosting its price target to 22. But let's get into it. Investment bank B. Riley upgraded Core Scientific to a buy from neutral and raised its price target on the shares to $30 from $17, citing strong standalone value and renewed momentum in high-performance computing. all of which would make no difference if there was a merger next week. The bank's analysts expect shareholders, this is the next paragraph right here. The bank's analysts expect shareholders to reject Core Scientific's proposed merger with CoreWeave, noting the stock has lagged its peers despite being an early mover in high-performance computing. So what they're saying is everyone else is running through the roof, and we're going sideways, even though we're doing more high-performance computing than anybody, because they are. Now, their customer is also the company they're about to reject, so it's an awkward situation, but it now looks like this deal is not going to happen. I think the market has been assuming a high probability of this deal happening for the entire year. And now suddenly, it looks like there's a very real chance. And in fact, B. Riley is assuming it's not going to happen. And that makes sense to me because I think, and it's a reason to buy right now, not financial advice. And I don't own any Core Scientific, but I'm thinking it over because if they reject this, then all that value that they have for high performance computing accrues to them instead of CoreWeave. So that could be a hit to CoreWeave stock and a boom to Core Scientific stock. You never know how things play out, but this is what B. Riley is saying is, hey, there's hidden value there if they just say no to this proposal. Let me know in the chat if any of you guys own Core Scientific, or if you plan on maybe buying some as a result of this press release and this upgrade from B. Riley. But to me, I've been ignoring these guys by and large because their price, within whatever arbitrage is left, their price was kind of locked in. But not if they say no. We'll do a poll on that one after.
That was a workout.
Didn't work out?
No, it worked out. It just was a workout. Whew.
Oh.
I'm not going to tell you what guitar. It's a guitar, Tom. See if you can figure out what it is. You see this?
It's in its case, and the starlighters.
Do you remember them?
I don't. I couldn't. Then
come on, guys. Somebody in the chat.
I can't read cursive writing anymore.
Well, either can AI, by the way. I'll tell you this. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
It was in a movie.
What, did you buy that?
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
Is it the actual one from the movie?
It's a lot of money. Look at that.
What movie is that from? I don't know the answer to that yet. We'll let people try and guess in the chat, and then you can let us know.
Probably no one's gonna know. You'd need to be in your 50s, late 40s to know the movie.
Okay, so we're talking maybe an 80s movie.
Yes.
Huh.
It smells awesome, by the way.
I can't get it. I don't know it. I'll think about it.
Somebody will get it.
Hello, Robert Anderson. Welcome to the show.
Okay, sorry. Let's end this poll. We'll go on to something else. What are you thinking, Tom?
I'm thinking like and subscribe, please, or at least smash the like button. It's free to you and it helps us a lot. That answer is the movie I'm thinking of. Although there was more than one movie. The first thing that popped into my head was La Bamba.
Oh, yeah, interesting. I got little knickknacks that came with the guitar, and if I showed you it, you would know it immediately.
Aha.
I can't show you. I'll see what I can show you.
Oh, Oh, what a great guess this is.
What?
Back to the future.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Can you see that?
Nice.
They did a special. They only made 88 of these guitars.
That is wild. And
I got number
you guys got
82.
it. Back
number 82.
82 of 88. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. I should have thought of that one. Oh man, what a classic.
It's just fun to be able to do this stuff. You know what I mean? That's just fun.
How many Bitcoin was that? That's the real question.
Actually, I'm going to put it back up on Reverb for 1 Bitcoin, by the way. I like it, but I don't like it that much. It was way too much money. Okay, so you want to do a round robin for the next 4?
I think we should. Let's finish out. We just did 4. We did the next 4, and then we got some other questions pending, but we got a lot more stuff to go through. So I'm just going to make a note because I want to ask you guys what you think about this core scientific thing, but let's finish our round robin tournament first.
Well, give me 4 too, please. I know Bitfarms.
Let's see which ones we did. Wolf.
Wolf.
You need CIFR.
Dude, there's more. There's just not enough. We got, you know what I mean?
What do you got right? How many you got?
I got Bitfarm, Hut, Wolf, and CIFR.
There you go. Boom. We're missing. No, that gets it. That does it. I mean, we can't get everybody. But those are the big players right now.
Oh yeah, here, let me show you the guitar. It's things a mint. 88. It's just Tom convinced me to do it. I think there's gonna be something where we go meet Michael.
Big Tom?
Yep.
And AFAVC, what do I win? You win bragging rights. That was a great guess. And you know what? As soon as you guessed that, it was like 100% locked in. So good, great get. It was once you said it, it was as clear as a bell. And very cool.
Looks like someone's played it a lot. Thanks, guys.
It should be it should be pristine, no?
No. They did some special like antiquing, and they did a whole bunch of different stuff. It was really neat.
So I'm going to give you some other dates. We'll just do a little date update here because it is now earnings season again. So we have some companies that have announced their earnings. I'll in the next live stream, although this one I think will have already happened, I will compile a list of these, but Riot Thursday, October 30th at 4:30. That's next Thursday. So we're going to get Riot's financial statements next Thursday. And remember, Riot hodled and Bitcoin went up. So for the companies that hodled, who has big hodls? Hut 8 does. CleanSpark has even more. Riot has even more than that. And then Marathon has the big stack. More than all of those guys put together. So people are sleeping on Marathon. And it's for 2 reasons. Because Bitcoin is not the popular play right now. And Marathon has not embraced AI. And I would tell you that my best guess is we are not far from Marathon announcing they're joining the high-performance computing world with all the rest of their peers because they have watched themselves go from by far the largest market cap Bitcoin miner. I think they're now the 3rd or 4th largest. IREN is much more than double their market cap. So they're I'm not the only one who noticed this. And it's simply they're one press release away from changing that, saying, we're going to use a portion of our facilities and retrofit and do high performance computing. So they would be absolutely insane not to do that. So I'm going under obviously, it's an assumption, and if it's wrong, it's wrong. But I'm going under the assumption they're going to do the only sane thing left to do, which is, and maybe pridefully they have been avoiding it. But you saw what happened at CleanSpark and where that went. They fired their CEO, and their chairman of the board took over, who was their former CEO, Matt, and said, "We're in AI." In fact, this week, October 20th, which was Monday, CleanSpark announces business evolution from pure play Bitcoin miner to include AI compute, and then hires industry veteran Jeffrey Thomas as SVP of AI data centers. So this is a fundamental shift. If you remember, they were proudly the only 100% pure play, 100% vertically integrated Bitcoin miner. And that was a selling point. Excuse me. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me right now. This was a big selling point for them. It was something they bragged about that they were proud of. But it turns out, and, listen, you live and learn. It turns out the sentiment in the market changed dramatically. And right now, there's just no denying AI is the place to be. And I don't think we're close to the end of that curve. So the Bitcoin will come back around. So I believe all these companies still have both of those things going for them. But for the moment, Marathon's the last holdout that has not made a major commitment to high performance computing. So there's two catalysts ahead. They're going to announce earnings. And here, we'll go to their Marathon schedules conference call for third quarter financial results. And that is going to be Tuesday, November 4th at 5 p.m. So I'm telling you right now, here, instead of tell you, I will show you. Tesla booked an $80 million profit on their Bitcoin holdings. So Tesla just reported earnings. Even though they sold almost all their Bitcoin, their adjustment to market value at September 30th, they made $80 million. Now, what does that mean specifically? They hold 11,509 Bitcoin. Marathon has 53,000 Bitcoin. So if these guys made 80 million, you could just go ahead and multiply that by 5, because that's how many Bitcoin they have. That part's not a mystery. It's just math. So I think you can expect some stellar results out of Marathon when they announce. And it's not priced in. When you look at where they are year to date, Marathon is lagging incredibly. And I definitely do think it's all about the fact that they just haven't thrown their hat in the ring on AI. Or high performance computing, I think is a more accurate term, but 6 of one, half dozen of the other. They got to do it. And so the first catalyst, in my opinion, comes next week or 2 weeks from now on Tuesday, November 4th. They're about to announce they had another really good quarter. So mark your calendar for that one. Then we've got CIFR. CIFR Mining announces date for third quarter conference call, and that is going to be the day before, Monday, November 3rd. And that's at 8 a.m. So really, next Friday is the last day you can trade before CIFR releases their earnings, because they're going to release them before the market opens on Monday. So just bear that in mind. Next Friday is a day to remember if you want to get in ahead of earnings. And, this is another one I don't own, and it's run up massively. But, you know, they're an AI play. And then lastly, IREN. IREN is the biggest Bitcoin mining company by market cap by a mile, more than double second place. And remember, this was a company that got their loan called. They had to give all their machines back 3 years ago and start over. They went from that. They didn't have to file bankruptcy because they were able to walk away. They did a total reboot and went from one of the smallest Bitcoin miners by exahash and market cap to one of the largest by exahash and by far the largest by market cap. So if you've owned IREN, it's been a good run for you. And I don't know that it's over. As Sour Melon Gaming said, you know, he feels like IREN to 100, and so do I. And I would say beyond. It doesn't mean tomorrow, and it doesn't mean it won't pull back before it runs, right? It ran. Let's go take a look at that real quick, because that's one of the ones.
Tom, I got a watch for you.
All right. Got a watch for me?
Yeah, it was the watch from in the movie.
Oh, Back to the Future?
Yeah.
You went full Back to the Future mode.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's cool. We got, and thank you to Alexander. We got a super chat. Alexander said, thanks for the entertainment. I should tip you before I lose any more profits. Been following you guys for a while. Go Bitfarms. $1. Yeah, that was the argument for a year. Is Bitfarms going to get back to $1, or are they going to have to do a reverse stock split? Well, they got a lot further than $1. Today they're at $4.61, and that is off of their recent highs of the last couple of weeks. Just as IREN is off of, it got to, let's see, last Wednesday, not this Wednesday, so about 10 days ago, IREN got to $74. And then it did drop under 50. On this 1 week later, it got down to $48.20. So I would expect it to run, you know, this is now a line we can make, and I think it's going to run past that. So that's at least IREN, there hasn't even been a line of resistance because it's blown so far by everything that it's ever done. This is so many multiples over its previous lifetime high. Okay, so now we got a target. So I think, you know, anytime there's a target, and it's a beautiful setup. This bounced off of 50 on the daily RSI, right? We had a bearish crossover. We talked about this on the members only stream. These bearish crossovers are going to play out, but the key on these things on the MACD is more often than not, see, this pink candle appeared today instead of red. That's when we start to get our moves up. We actually got to move, you know, a green daily candle on a red candle yesterday, and then a jump up today, right? IREN was up 12.6% today. And again, this is by far the biggest market cap. So dollars wise, that was by far the biggest move of the day. So if you can catch, it bounced off of 50 on the daily RSI. On the histogram here, it's gone from red to pink. I think that's on its way to a bullish crossover and a run at this and or past this. So I would at a minimum expect it to retest this. The question is, do we have another pullback before it goes above, or does it just go straight above? That's my opinion. That's how I see that.
When IREN gets to 100, what will their market cap be, Tom?
Let's take a look. I mean, it'll be like off the top of my head, I'm thinking like 35 million, or sorry, obviously
30
billion.
Okay, that's what somebody wrote. It would be that much. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. What did they write? I didn't do the
35 billion.
Oh, okay. So that was just a quick math in my head. It sounds like it's in the neighborhood anyway. Yeah, and this is my point. IREN at 100, if we're in a bubble, 35 billion's nothing. Right? CoreWeave, I just got through saying CoreWeave's 60 billion right now. So IREN could blow way by 100 if and when we're in a bubble. But that's the, so to me, the danger zone isn't here at 50 or 60 or even 70. But it's when you start running up, if it runs up to 150 or 200 or 250, now you're in official bubble territory, and bubbles do burst. That's just how those end. Now, it's a weird scenario because IREN has 50 exahash of highly efficient Bitcoin mining. So if the high performance computing bubble is bursting at a time similar to when Bitcoin is taking off and making a run at 150 or 200,000, they could stay in the bubble. So these get real tricky. These are now two income stream, and IREN's serious, right? They have a significant amount of resources allocated to their high performance computing. They do not hodl their Bitcoin. They sell all their Bitcoin to pay for operations and to build out high performance computing infrastructure. So they mine the second or third most Bitcoin out of all the Bitcoin miners every month. And they sell them all to build more infrastructure. So I think there's a lot, right? There's still a lot of money left to the upside on a lot of these. And most of these, like I said, that is by far the biggest market cap. If I go Marathon, which held the place as the largest market cap for a very long time, is now at 7.2 billion. IREN, way off of its highs, is now at $17 billion. 17 billion. IREN used to be 1/3 or 1/4 the market cap of Marathon, and now it's much more than double the market cap. So what does that mean, though? To me, that means a company like Marathon that has 60 exahash has a fortress of a balance sheet. They hold, remember, Bitcoin's liquid. They have 53,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So their current ratio, and they choose to show that as long term, but the reality is it's liquid, and so I count it in their current ratio. So it means their balance sheet's a fortress, and they're not alone in this industry. The balance sheets in this industry look great, and that's another big difference from a lot of bubbles. Remember all those EV companies, Arrow and Solo, and we could name 20 more. I'm not thinking of them right now. All those companies were at market caps like this or much higher, and they didn't even have, they had zero revenue.
What about WeWork?
Yeah, they had weak balance sheets and no revenue. And they were trading at market caps higher than this. So I'm just saying there's room to run. If you look at here, we'll go look at here's Rivian. It's a $15 billion market cap company. They lose $3 to $5 billion a year every single year they've been in existence. This balance sheet and income statement is a nightmare. Marathon's is rock solid. So this is still the remnants of the bubble that this was once in, right? It IPO'd up here at almost $130. So it's down 90% from its IPO. This is saying 87.8%. But that's not what the math is saying. Anyway. So you can see the point of all that is I think we're in I don't want to say we're at the beginning because we've had really nice run up, but we're in the middle innings, in my opinion, and there's a lot more room left to run for a lot of these stocks. So I'm still buying instead of selling. And, you know, I've said 20 times I'm done buying, but they just, to me, Marathon at $19.54, I think we're going to laugh at that at some point. And it's the same thing, you know, when CleanSpark was at $7, I was buying it hand over fist. IREN, we can all look at my trade I'm tracking. I think I have this open. This trade's only 177 days ago. So about 6 months ago, I sold all my MicroStrategy and bought IREN, Hive, and Riot. Mostly IREN and Hive. IREN's up 900% since then. This is 6 months ago. It's up 900%. By the way, it's way off of its highs. So I think there's short-term room to run. Hive's up 253%. Riot, which I only bought 3.4% out of this money. I sold my entire MicroStrategy position when it got back to break even and did this. So had I held that, all that money that was sitting in MicroStrategy would be down 17% right now. Instead, I'm up 613%. This is what due diligence is all about, right? I had a strong feeling, and listen, I've been wrong as many times as I've been right. What you hope to do is when you're wrong, mitigate your losses. And when you're right, take advantage of your gains. So, you know, I got this one right. There's plenty. Yep.
DEFCON just said you are not right. Marathon is going to do something related to AI.
Marathon isn't doing anything related to AI.
Again, DEFCON disagrees with you.
Okay, well, what I said, DEFCON, is I think that it is inevitable that they will join the party. They are the last holdout out of all the Bitcoin miners. They've watched all of their peers. They dwarfed all of their peers in market cap. They were the big dog in this space, and it was not close. Now, all of a sudden, company after company after company is passing them in market cap. And it's not a multitude of reasons. It's not a variety of reasons. It is one single reason. They have not said they're in on AI. That's it. That's the reason. So
it was 10 grand cool.
I don't care how entrenched they are in that plan. They will do, you know, CleanSpark got to the point where they fired their CEO.
Is that something?
That's what it took to get them to switch gears, because CleanSpark was the second last holdout and their stock was suppressed massively. And they fired, you know, they parted. I shouldn't say they fired. They parted ways with their CEO on good terms. And the chairman of the board became the CEO. And then next thing you know, all of a sudden, they're not a pure play Bitcoin miner. They are in AI, and they're a hybrid, and they're embracing high performance computing and AI. And so that leaves Marathon as the last company to hold out. So to me, I'm just looking at that as saying either they're idiots over there, or they're going to say they're joining high performance AI. I mean, that's a binary situation. Those are your two options, because there's not
a deal. They have a deal pending with EXAION. I don't know how you say that. EXAION.
I don't know what that deal is. I don't know how much it's for. Obviously, they got no bump off of it. Did they put a press release out? Right, what they need to do, I'll show you a press release. This is what CleanSpark announces: business evolution from pure play Bitcoin miner to include AI compute. This is letting the world know you're in on AI. Every single company has done this. I've showed every press release they've ever put out for the last 4.5 years on this channel when they put it out, and they have never said anything that resembles this. So, they will. in my opinion.
Having a power problem.
So Zip Trader is recommending its options because they have many facilities to convert their power, a lot of potential. So that's my point. They are at their core, and they had to shift about 3 or 3.5 years ago. If you remember, Marathon started out as they bragged, they're different than everybody else. We're asset light, meaning we don't do any of the rest of the, we're not vertically integrated. We don't do the power. We don't do all that. We don't do the hosting. But well over 3 years ago, they switched and said, nope, we're vertically integrated. We're getting our own power. We are looking to move towards being 100% vertically integrated. So they have access to a lot of power. What has every other company on earth that has access to power done? They've gotten into high performance computing. So I just assume that this is not going to be the one company on earth that decides not to do that. And as for whatever they're in with this Axion deal, I don't even, it's small enough I don't remember it. But let me know. Is it billions of dollars a deal, or is it? It's not a recent press release. I mean, I can go to their press releases. Right, October 21st, they announced their conference call. October 3rd, their Bitcoin mining update. September 4th, their Bitcoin mining update. Marathon advances international growth. This was back in August. They're expanding to Europe. So, I mean, here, Mara and EDF Pulse Venture sign investment agreement in subsidiary Axion to expand Mara's global AI and HPC capacity. This is back on August 11th. So they have a ownership. They can end up owning 75% of this. I don't know if it says in here how many actual megawatts they have that are functional. So that's true, DEFCON. There's some evidence here that they're moving in that direction. But unfortunately, this did not move the needle, and they haven't said another word about it since then. And this is a pretty small deal. What they really need is to announce that they're going to do it themselves, not hold an interest in a very small company that's going to do it. And I'm not saying this is worthless. This is an indication. I feel like this validates my thought that they're going to enter high performance computing. Right? They're already dabbling in it here. Why not just get in it like everybody else did? So thanks for pointing that out. They are dabbling in this, but they are essentially, it's accepted right now. They're the one Bitcoin miner that's not in high performance computing, although technically, based on this press release, they do have options to own a majority interest in a very small company that does high performance computing. Just looking through it, does not even say.
Tom, when do you think the AI hype bubbles burst? Sometime next year or the year after?
I mean, that's the way to frame the question, because I don't think we're close. I think we're 1 to 2 years away from the AI bubble peaking. And it's ultra hard to pick the top of a bubble. This doesn't feel like, and I'll tell you, one of the articles that I read, and it goes straight to what everybody here is already doing. There's already, in anticipation of a bubble, and the same thing happened before the dot-com bubble. All the hedge funds and the big money rotated out of the mega cap stocks into small companies. So they got the first run at the internet bubble through the big companies. Then they took all their money out of there and got the second run. And they specifically went after, and I've said this term 100 times on this channel, this is the picks and shovels play. And that article used the same exact term. It's time to rotate into picks and shovels, because if you're picking an AI company based on technology, it may hit or it may miss. But the picks and shovel plays underneath, power, that's going to hit because there's a huge demand for it. So I think we're in the right space. I think it's just getting going. You'll know when we're in a bubble, and then once you're in it, it could burst at any time. But this is still not what a bubble feels like. And DEFCON saying, Tom, I suspect they're in a quiet period, but a majority stake is meaningful. So that would be nice. If they are in a quiet period, that would be a big announcement that they could make. So I hope you're dead on that one. I'm still buying Marathon. That's the only thing I bought this week was more Marathon. And for as long as it's under $20, I'm just going to keep buying it because I don't think we're going to live in a world where Marathon tops out at $20. That makes no sense to me. And Richard's asking, are we in 1997 with AI or 1996? This article was alluding to the fact that we're in late 1998. Now, I don't know that I agree with that. I don't think we can say we're in 1996. I think we're a little further along than that, but I do think we're in, so I would say late 1997 would be the analogy, which means we've had a bunch of run up and there's a bunch left to go. And everything is magnitudes bigger today than it was back then. So however big that was, you know, we've got $4 trillion companies now in our new world. And by the way, the $4 trillion company is an AI company, which is NVIDIA, which makes the chip that powers all of this stuff. There are competing chips. It's not the only chip, but it's the only, you know, it's the gold standard.
Excuse me.
And again, they're right now, they're a $4.5 trillion company trading at a 50 trailing PE. That's not out of control. A bubble is 150 PE or a 300 PE. That's a bubble.
Do you think this is going to go the same as the .com?
I don't think it's going to go the same as the .com. I think that we are not yet in the bubble. We will get into a bubble. I think the large cap companies, because here's the reason. The biggest players in this space are, you got ChatGPT is the most widely used large language model. And then in second place is Gemini. Well, that's Google. Google is a multifaceted, multi-trillion-dollar company. So when the AI hype piece of it slows down, I don't think Google stock is going to crash. Right? And the same is true for the rest of the large players in AI. So some of them aren't even publicly traded, the large language models, but you got Grok that I think is a distant third. You've got ChatGPT and Gemini that are used by significantly more users than any other system in the world. And ChatGPT is because they had first mover advantage and everybody's playing their game. And Gemini is because literally when you do a Google search, it'll use Gemini and sometimes give you an AI answer. So, you're interfacing with it and you don't even know it. So those two have a big head start. This space is still very young. And these large language models aren't going away. Just like now with the internet, we had a monster crash to rival any crash in history. That was probably the worst crash ever. And yet still, the internet did turn out to be, from a total addressable market, the biggest market in history. So even if you held your, for instance, Amazon, through the crash, you'd still be rich right now. It's multi-thousand-x'd. So, you know, I don't want to have to wait 15 years because that's what the NASDAQ had to do. I think it was somewhere between 10 and 15 years before the NASDAQ got back to where it was in the year 2000 due to that bubble, right? Because all the tech companies are in the NASDAQ. That's the point. And Bitcoin Macros is saying, watch the SALT Symposium hosted by Mike Alfred from Jackson Hole. Matt literally pivoted on stage that day when IREN/Wolf wrecked his business model. Zach was already fired by then. So I assume that's on YouTube somewhere that you can watch. And Robert is saying a bubble will be when companies that just talk about Bitcoin or AI with little to no megawatts get to 10 or $20 billion valuations. So I agree with that, Robert. That's exactly how a bubble works. All a company has to do is, oh, we got a prototype. We got a business plan. We're going to do a SPAC. You know, we're going to merge with a SPAC and be a multi-billion-dollar company. Oh, you got a product yet? No. You got any revenue yet? No. That's when you know your bubble is peaking. And we are not there at all right now. So I think that's a good analogy, Robert.
So that looks like that means we have to open an AI company, Tom.
All right. Welcome to Talkin Investing. I'm in 100% agreement with that.
I have a spot, by the way.
It's doable. It's doable. Talk after the stream. Old Jock. Hi, Tom. A somewhat late drunken old Jock here. Welcome aboard. Just wondering what your thoughts are on IREN bringing forward their earnings report. Good news? I mean, IREN's going to have a good earnings report. They don't hodl Bitcoin, so they're not going to get that piece of the puzzle. You know, they won't make money, but that company just straight up makes money, and I think they want to put their new investor presentation out there in front of the world because they are growing their high performance computing capacity massively, and they're creating a very big pipeline to get a lot bigger. So that's the reason why, even though IREN has gone ballistic like it has, I haven't sold a single share because I think we're not close to done. So I think the earnings report is going to be good news. Starmelon Gaming, I told Edmund almost 7 months ago that MicroStrategy was going to underperform and was overvalued. But Edmund's IREN call was correct.
You lost a viewer.
I mean, listen, you get some right and you get some wrong. And that's just
investing.
That's investing. There's none of us that are immune from that phenomenon. So nobody's. I know I'm not right all the time. I can absolutely guarantee you that. So let's do the finals because Bitfarms and CIFR ran away with this one, George. Want me to type in the finals?
Yeah, you're going to have to do it.
I'll do it. By
the way, sorry.
That's okay. I'm just going to put up a poll. We did a round robin here. So we're going to put up the finals. Ten seconds here.
Tom, I was going to do a government contract, but I want to do a government contract and just be a little old white boy and register that way, but it doesn't look like I can.
You need to hit up your buddy Rob.
I know. Just looking at this, it might be better if I'm a trans.
Well, I think I got a solution for that one too. We'll just, but of course that's your personal choice.
Talk after the stream. No, but there's a whole separate women-owned small business registration, veterans-owned small business registration.
That's why I'm
And
saying
then at
talk
the
to
bottom
Rob.
it says sucker poor white boy registration.
And apply here if you don't want to get the bid.
Right. Because I'm in a what's called a hub zone, which is like a underutilized business zone. Have you heard of those?
Oh yeah. I'm just going to show I just put up the finals, best AI high performance stock. So the 4 finalists were CleanSpark, Hive, Bitfarms, and CIFR. Those were the 4 that got the best score. Vote now, vote early, vote often, as they say in Chicago. And while you're at it, if you'd be so kind as to hit the like button. I don't even know where we are on likes right now. We're going for 100 likes. I've lost track. I've lost count. I don't know why my screen changed. It doesn't show me that anymore. So we have an unknown number of likes to me right now. So are we at 100, George?
I have no idea. If we are, I'm changing my vote.
Go Bills, said Crypto Rich Crypto.
77. No one likes this anymore, Tom.
77 likes. Do us a favor.
I have a question as we're talking, Tom. So do you think like CleanSpark could get to 100 also?
I think that CleanSpark 100 would be the top of a bubble, in my opinion, for CleanSpark. That's not my CleanSpark price target.
Even with AI?
Here, let's go. Do I have them open? If I don't, yes, I do. Okay, so to me, CleanSpark, my definition of a grand slam home run for CleanSpark is $40.
Really?
And
oh, okay.
Yes. And that doesn't mean it won't go past that, because here's the thing. I'm just going to state the obvious. This is not a conspiracy theory. There are massive, massive funds and wealth that manipulate the market. There's also retail FOMO. It's real. So there's oftentimes stocks that are way underpriced. Those are the things we look to invest in and wait until they catch up to their market value. But what usually happens is not only do they catch up to their market value, they cross by their market value and overshoot. So, if you had a crystal ball and you could time that perfectly, you really could hold till longer. So to me, 40 is where CleanSpark belongs, but could it get to 60? In my opinion, it could. We'll ask everybody after this. That's the next poll. And then my reason for that is, you can see this line goes all the way back to March of 2024. So in this cycle, right, this is the current cycle. It's now a year and a half later, and we're still not back to where we were in March of 2024. So the first thing we got to hit is $25. I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. And then from there, there's 2 other numbers. Well, there's one. I think there's just one other number. Yeah, $42. And this was, so by the way, speaking of bubbles, and if you go way back, this was to 2019. Now, they weren't mining Bitcoin. They had never heard of a Bitcoin back then. But you'll see this stock crashed down to like $1 and ran up to $40. That was not a run on Bitcoin. This happened in January of 2021. All the other Bitcoin miners peaked over here in November of 2021. Now, CleanSpark only got to about $23 or $24 in November of 2021. So really, that's their prior peak that they need to take out. And they've touched it, you can see. And then 42 is, that was the small stock bubble when interest rates were at zero and the government was, one, printing money, and two, sending out checks in the mail to every person in America. That's the environment where the small cap stocks, right? CleanSpark was a classic example. They were a microgrid company. They had a couple $1 million in revenue, and they ran up to a multi-billion dollar market cap on nothing, pure speculation. They ended up selling that off as junk for parts, and they became a Bitcoin miner, and now they're moving into AI. So to me, I think 40 is what I'm looking for by the end of the bull market. And again, who knows? It'll probably overshoot. But I'll be taking some profits here. I'm not just going to dump all my positions in one day when they hit my price target, but I will start taking profits. When CleanSpark hits 40, I'm going to start dollar cost averaging out the way I dollar cost averaged in. And I'll keep a portion of it, probably to Sour Melon Gaming's point. I'll keep some portion of these stocks in my portfolio, probably forever, or, the indefinite future, because I do think these are longer term quality plays, which these used to be 100% cyclical. These were tied to the 4-year Bitcoin mining cycle, and you could count on a blow off top, and you could count on a crypto winter. That happened every time. But I think we're living in a different world right now, right? All those conditions I just described that had CleanSpark at $40 in January of 2021, when it's a company that had virtually no revenue at all, are all starting to come around. Lowering interest rates, quantitative easing, checks in the mail. We have a proposal to send a couple $1,000 to every American for tariffs, as a windfall from the tariffs we've collected. So you don't think that's going to stimulate the stock market?
Do you have a chart showing people's available power? Do you know if maybe Sebastian did that? Or somebody?
How much power they have?
Yeah, for AI.
I don't know. Let me just write that down.
Would be a good idea.
Yeah, and it's there's two relevant numbers. There's the amount of power they have up and running right now, but also the pipeline they have of power that they've secured under contract that they still have to build out. So I can put that is a great chart. I can put that together. I used to have that, but it's changed dramatically. A lot of these companies are now between 2 and 3 gigawatts with their pipeline. So that's the new standard.
What does Riot have?
Riot's at 2 gigawatts plus, right? Just right there in Texas. And they've allocated, I believe they said they were going to allocate 700 megawatts to high performance computing. So that's massive.
So where do you think they could get to?
They're another one. They ought to get back to 40 at least. And here, let's go to Riot. A lot more going on here. So you can see in March of 2022. So this was as we were collapsing into the crypto winter. That's the last time Riot's been this high, right? Riot touched that line on October 10th. It hasn't been there since March of 2022, which is before the bottom of the crypto winter. So the first thing it needs to do is break out of here. And I expect that to happen in short order. Then there's two numbers that come into play. This is November. So just like everything else, Riot peaked in November on November 10th. and that was at $46.28. So to me, it ought to at least get back to that. And now understand, this is such a different company. We're comparing apples to oranges in some regard. There's a lot more stock outstanding than there used to be, which means that would tend to indicate it will get to a lower number, but they're 10 times the size company they were at this point in time. And they pivoted into a second revenue stream of high performance computing, which is much more high gross profit than the business they currently conduct. So I think you can also put back in February of 2021, Riot ran up to $79.50. So I think 80's on the table for them. Again, I'll start taking profits here at 46, but I don't think anybody should be shocked if they get back to where they were. Right? Obviously, we're all speculating at this point.
Did you look at the third quarter report for Core?
No, I've ignored Core Scientific literally until today when a price target for 30 came out saying it looks like they're going to reject this offer because Core Scientific has just been an arbitrage play on CoreWeave for the last all year until I think today. So over the weekend, I'll consider, is there room to run? Because I think their price is suppressed here at $19.34, which is that's less than the bid. So there's still money to be made if they vote yes on this. I think there's even more money to be made if they vote no. Oh, vote if you can. We got someone starting to run away with it here. Choices are Cleanspark, Hive, Bitfarms, and CIFR. Which is the best AI high-performance computing stock right now from where it's valued right now?
What do you think, Tom?
I'm going to say, and it's in last place. I'm going to say, and again, this doesn't mean I think it's the best company. And then that's good because I'm going to go to a press release. I'm going to say Hive. And I know that that's in last place, and I understand why it's in last place, but I'm going to go to a press release that they put out just a couple days ago. Hive Digital Technologies targets 35 exahash in 2026. It's important to understand they were at 5 exahash in 2024. Now they're running up to 25 exahash in 2025 and 35 exahash in 2026. More than that, a 5x growth in their high-performance computing and AI through operations through strategic partnerships with Bell Canada, contracts they already have, partnerships they already have. So I think there's a lot of very good press releases coming out over the next 15 to 18 months for Hive. So, and in addition to that, they are the lowest market cap out of all the Bitcoin miners by far. So if we go look at Hive, they're a $1.3 billion market cap. To put in perspective, in second last place is Bitfarms, and they're $2.5 billion. That's second last place. Again, if we go to IREN in first place, $17 billion market cap. I'm using Yahoo. These are usually reasonably accurate. I cross-check them regularly.
Reasonable.
If you look at Riot, Riot's now $7.9 billion. Riot is now bigger than Marathon. Which is $7.2 billion. CIFR, $8.1 billion. So if we put that in perspective, way into the future. CIFR mined 251 Bitcoin in September. Marathon mined 736. CIFR's market cap is bigger than Marathon's. That's all AI speculation. So if and when Marathon does finally kick that into gear, I think you're going to see an appropriate run-up. They really should still be the biggest company. Not saying they're the best, just the biggest. There's a great argument for, in my opinion, Cleanspark and IREN are the two best companies. That doesn't mean they're the best buys. Certainly, IREN just ran from 6 to 60. So, I'm not putting any money in IREN right now, although I think it's going to go a lot higher. Cleanspark still has a lot of room to run. Let's go take a round out. We didn't look at the week. This is this week. So today was a gigantic green day, right? We had 19% up, 17% up for 12% up. But if you take the week in its entirety, you've got Bitcoin up 4%. So yeah, it was a good week for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's, when you look at month to date, you're going to see Bitcoin's been going sideways for quite some time. This is the first week in months and months and months. Most of the Bitcoin miners are lagging Bitcoin this week. But if you would have looked on Wednesday after the market closed, all of the Bitcoin miners were lagging, and not by a little. These were down 20, 25, 30%. So they had a 2-day rally to basically bring everything back to even on the week. And this is their bad week. And in this week, CIFR still up 10%, Riot up 7%, Hive up 6%. Right now, they were all up more than that today. So, well, not Riot, but most of that was today's activity that took them from negative to positive. IREN went from negative to positive on the week today. But a more accurate reading, if we look at month to date, everything's still killing it month to date. Bitcoin's negative on this month. October is not happening, right? And this is a big outlier. October is the best month historically for Bitcoin. Now, I will caveat that by saying, I always say, I really don't think that means anything. That 31-day period is arbitrary versus all the greater cycles that go on in the financial world. So as a matter of coincidence, in my opinion, October's always been the best month. There are other reasons why the fourth quarter in general, I think, is the best quarter. And I think we're still going to be in for that. But there was no October for Bitcoin unless it kicks in the last week. But the Bitcoin miners, Bitfarms is up 63%, CIFR 64%, Hive's up 50%. This is just this month in October. So you can see it's been pretty much a grand slam for most of the Bitcoin miners in the month of October, despite the couple of days that were awful. And then if we go to year to date, 100 days into the year, every single Bitcoin miner, with the exception of Cleanspark. Cleanspark was down 20%. They were the big, huge winners on the year. Everybody else was down between 30 and 70% 100 days into the year. Most of them averaging somewhere around down 50%. Well, here we are now down the road. You've got 10 of the 12 Bitcoin miners over 100% increase on the year. And remember, these were down 50, 60, 70%. So on the year, they've doubled. From the bottom, some of these have 10x or more. So you've got Bitfarms up 209%. It's tripled this year, but it was also trading at 68 cents this year, and it did get up over $6 last week. So, that's more like 900% than 200%. IREN's a legit 541% up on the year. So this is a very good year for Bitcoin miners. Ironically, Bitcoin is struggling. It's still positive on the year, but we just came off of 2023 up over 100%. 2024, Bitcoin was up over 100%. 2025, so far, Bitcoin, 10 and a half months into the year, is up 18%. So a little bit of a regrouping, a little bit of a consolidating, but I think the next leg is up. That's why I think this is going to be an extended cycle. And in some ways, you know, they talk about a super cycle. And in some ways, I think that's true. I think we're going to have bear markets, not crypto winters in the future. You know, normal pullbacks, not catastrophes. The Bitcoin, since the last halving, we have, you know, the list is 100 things long, but I'll start with the Bitcoin ETFs, right? There's hundreds of billions of dollars in Bitcoin ETFs right now that didn't even exist the last time. And let me find to that point. In the UK, the Bitcoin ETPs from BlackRock and others start trading in London after FCA ends the ban. So you have not been able to trade these what we on the New York Stock Exchange, or ETFs. This is the equivalent, ETPs. You have not had access to these on the London Exchange. Well, guess what? Now all of London does. And this is one of the big exchanges in the world. So this is brand new adoption this week. So there's every single week we have multiple things that just that one thing is like a gigantic, massive adoption of Bitcoin. And I think that's just going to keep going and going and going, and we're not close to the end. Conversely, you have Canada, British Columbia permanently bans new crypto mining projects. So they got an electricity problem in British Columbia. I had to look it up, but that's about 13% of the population of Canada. And they have banned Bitcoin mining, new crypto Bitcoin mining projects, some AI projects, right? This is all about energy for them. And it's cold, and they need a lot of energy in the winter to heat things up.
Tom, do you think electric vehicles, including Tesla, are going to get hammered?
I think that I don't think Tesla's going to get hammered. I think it's a volatile stock. So I think you could get, how many times could you have caught, if you look at their chart, the $250 to $400 run? That has happened many, many, many times. And it may happen again. But that company is just so far ahead of everybody else in electric vehicles, infrastructure. I mean, that's first mover advantage by a decade over the rest of the field. And
with the whole thing with the money credit, you know what I mean?
In the US, the credit is out. That's right. You don't get your $7,000 back for buying an electric vehicle anymore. For now, I think there'll be some.
It might come back?
I don't know that it'll come back at that full amount, right? And the government's shut down right now, so nothing is happening. I think something will come back. And even if it doesn't, there is a demand for electric vehicles. The demand does not equal zero. It's just that the demand was never going to equal 100%. That was a fantasy. So I think all the car companies have given up on the fantasy. Most of the major manufacturers, General Motors, Ford, they've scaled back their plans. You know, they all spent $30, $40, $50 billion getting ready for EVs and realized, nobody's buying any of our EVs. So now they could afford it, and they can transform those plants into,
1,000 horsepower motors for gas cars.
Exactly.
They're coming, right? I don't know if you've seen all the crazy things that are on the books.
No, that's pretty scary.
Like bringing back, for an example, like an old Nova, or bringing it back an old Cuda,
Bring all these old cars are coming back with 1,000 horsepower engine.
Yeah, because I mean, back in the day, cars got 5, 6, 7 miles to the gallon, but nobody cared because it
Right.
didn't matter. And then the energy crisis happened in the 70s, and which is a different conversation altogether. That was massive manipulation. But
Are we going to have
that
an
changed the
energy
game.
problem here, Tom, because of AI or no?
Our grid does not have. First of all, our grid is aging. It's much older than the rest of the world because we built ours first, so it's older. And I'm in the United States, so I'm saying we. I'm talking about the United States. So it's aging and it's insufficient. There will be electric vehicles. That's going to be a strain on the grid. It's not going to be the 100% that California fantasy land thought it was going to be. So that's right. That mandate is gone now. So it's just a fantasy. It was never going to happen. They don't have their power grid is so woefully insufficient to allow for that. They would have to do multiples of their current power grid to accommodate that. But the same is true for the country. For high performance compute, you've got Bitcoin mining that takes a lot of electricity. You've got high performance computing that's going to dwarf that. And you've got electric vehicles, and you've got everything else we do. Everything else that requires energy. So yes, this is why I'm saying these Bitcoin mining plays are now the picks and shovels play for high performance computing and AI, because energy, that's the picks and shovels of AI. So instead of betting on somebody's wacko AI technology that may either be the best thing ever created or may fail completely, you bet on the companies providing the power to all these companies, which is what this group is basically doing.
Is that why BlackRock just bought a whole bunch of power companies?
Right, exactly. BlackRock now has $13 trillion under management.
They bought Southern Group, or they bought all of Georgia Power, and I guess they had Alabama. I guess I didn't realize how big it was. There's 4 or 5 states. Wasn't there something about deregulation to power?
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to see a very fluid, as you like to say, it's a fluid situation because the energy demand is real. And our poll is very close. Should I close it out and call it? CleanSpark, 34%. So which one's the best AI stock right now? CleanSpark is in first place at 34%. CIFR is in second place at 28%. Bitfarms is in third place at 25%, so that's pretty close. And Hive is in a distant last place at 12%. And I understand why that is. They're by far the smallest company. But I want to show you one more chart because this is the one, actually 2 more charts. First, this. Why am I buying Marathon? It's up 17% on the year. All of its peers have doubled or tripled or quadrupled or more. The 2 outliers are Marathon and BitDeer, and these are the last 2 things I'm buying. I actually did earlier in the week buy BitDeer and later in the week buy Marathon, so I actually bought 2 things this week. And these will be the only 2 things I buy because I'm getting my return on this stuff already. But you can see how far these are lagging. And if we look at, let's see. From the low of the crypto winter to the current price rate now, IREN's up 6,000%. CIFR's up 5,300%. TeraWolf's up 2,463%. Bitfarms over 1,000. Hut over 1,000. CleanSpark over 1,000. Hive 343%. Hive could 10x right now and still not be performing as well as CIFR is relative to its low from the bottom of the crypto winter. It has to 3 or 4x just to become a middle of the group. So I think that move is coming. That's my opinion.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice. I don't know any better than you guys do, but this is what I'm looking at. This is why I look at so many data points. We talked on the members only stream about a specific chart that showed, oh, if you look at this chart, it's the end of the bull market. And that's why you never look at one data point, because the only thing you know about a data point is eventually it's going to be wrong. It's going to be dead wrong. It might have a hot streak going. It might be mostly right, but it will eventually be wrong. If you're looking at all the data points, you can make the most educated decision that you could possibly make, and that's no guarantee that you're going to make the right choice. But you're giving yourself the best opportunity to make the right choice. So Hive has the smallest market cap out of all these by a mile. It's gone up from the bottom of the crypto winter, the least by a mile. So to me, there's a lot of upside here. Riot and Marathon, right? They're still underperforming Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up 623% from the bottom. So, there's different ways to look at where opportunities lie. Let's take a look. So we're at 111,000 right now. So you can see last week's line. So last Friday we closed at 106,000. We're at 111,000 right now. So on the week, and that goes back to this chart. If we go to the weekly, Bitcoin's up 4% on the week. So this was a good week for Bitcoin. It was a little bit of a reset week for some of the Bitcoin miners. But again, month to date, the Bitcoin miners are on fire. So I don't think there's any reason to panic. We didn't get to a lot of the stuff I had to talk about, but I think we got to most of the important stuff. So any last thoughts? So Cleanspark's the winner of this poll.
Wow.
Cleanspark. Parting words,
people
George?
think it's going above 40. They think it's going above 40 then.
Yeah, I guess so. I hope they're right.
Yeah, me too. No, just let's hopefully Buffalo can redeem themselves Sunday.
They're in a must-win situation. If they lose Sunday, you can pretty much forget
Season
about
ender. It's done.
Go Bills.
Wild card would be See you, buddy. See you, everyone. Thanks for watching.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on our live stream. To the members, special thanks for being members, and we will see the members Tuesday after the market closes. Everybody, enjoy your weekend.